I'd really like to thank the two ministers for being here today, Honourable Jerry Brownlee and Honourable Nikki Wagner. It's really great to have that level of support, and my council colleagues as well, and Cameron partners too. I was born in Christchurch. I've lived here all my life. I've had the privilege of serving the city for over 20 years as a Member of Parliament. 18 months ago, I had no intention of standing for the mayoralty. I was ultimately persuaded to do so by people from across the city, from all walks of life and from all political persuasions, who appealed to my sense of duty. I've said on many occasions that I understood what needed to be done to get the city back on its feet, and they asked me to put that to the test. They said they would back me, not only to be elected, but also to support me through the term ahead. My story is not unique. Several of my colleagues were persuaded to abandon the relative comfort of their previous lives and commit to serve their city. Together with only 4 of the previous councillors, we have formed a strong team with a single focus in mind, and that is the future of Christchurch. Each one of us campaigned on the promise of transparency and accountability, and with this came a commitment to opening the books. We needed to confirm the true financial position of the city so we could confront the issues head-on with all of the cards on the table. This would allow us to consider all of the options available to us so we could produce a carefully considered and robust financial strategy to take us forward. Hence the Quarter-Mentha report and today's release of the Cameron Partners report. Like thousands of Canterbury businesses and homeowners, the council's financial position has been financially adversely affected by the earthquakes. And like many, our ability to plan with confidence for the future has been hampered by continued uncertainty about our insurance recoveries. At the same time, we face the double jeopardy of escalating earthquake-related costs and declining rates revenue as a result of loss of residential and commercial properties. This will lead to unsustainably high debt levels, leaving us no room to move whatsoever. But we can't stand still any longer. The Crown's substantial and ongoing commitment of capital and resources to the recovery and rebuild means much has already been achieved, but much still remains to be done in the areas which are our first responsibility as a council: restoring local facilities such as swimming pools, libraries, community centres, as well as the physical infrastructure, the pipes and the roads. This simply cannot wait. More importantly, we have communities to restore to health. Nearly 4 years after what has become known as the Canterbury earthquake sequence, we know that at least a quarter of our residents are continuing to lead lives marred by multiple stresses, anxiety, frustration and fear. These are challenging people every single day. The good news is that we are not helpless in the face of this challenge. We are a city with resources, we have substantial assets, human capital and financial capital. As your elected council, we are taking decisive action to utilise all our resources to produce a financial strategy that will be a firm foundation for the next decade through 2015 to 2025, which is the long-term plan and beyond. Accountability demands that we take this proposal out to the people of Christchurch, and today's announcement begins the process of engaging with the community about the issues, the proposed solutions and timeframes for dealing with them. We want to provide people with the facts so that they can judge for themselves. It will continue over the next 2 months as we embark on a special consultative process to get feedback on what we will be proposing to do and when. At the outset, we need to be very clear about what is within our power to do as a council alone. There are other things we could do that would require the ongoing support of our partners in the rebuild, including the Crown. The cost-sharing agreement reached between the Crown and Council in June 2013 created the sort of certainty necessary to move forward with confidence in a post-disaster environment. It also committed ratepayers to a very large-scale expenditure before our insurance claims were settled and before our true financial position was known. The cost-sharing agreement is a living document. It produced scale and momentum for the rebuild at an absolutely critical time for the city, accepting, though, that priorities change. And a lot has changed over the past year, much of it for the good. I don't actually need to repeat the statistics around infrastructure repairs or all the announcements that have been made about projects underway. But new priorities have come into sharp focus: affordable housing, flood mitigation, addressing mass land movement, reinstating critical routes, for example, Sumner Road. In light of what the Quarter Mentha and Cameron Partners reports say, we have been reassessing all our priorities. We need to revisit what we do and when we do it across all council activity. And in responding to this new information, we will be working with the Crown to ensure that our new priorities and budget processes are fully aligned with each other and that they promote the regeneration of the city as a whole. Council staff and councillors have spent the last 6 months working with our Chief Financial Officer, Peter Dalziel, and top financial advisors, Cameron Partners, in addition to Quarter Mentha, to get a clear picture of our financial position and the way forward. Today's announcement is our first step towards engaging on solutions in response to our financial situation. It is specifically about removing uncertainty, which will assure central government and the private sector that they can continue to invest in our city with confidence. After months of investigation and analysis of options, releasing capital from our balance sheet alongside the other options, including increased income, reduced operational expenditure and government assistance, is clearly one of the ways we can address the uncertainty around the city's finances. We need to make sure our city recovers as quickly as it can while taking full advantage of the opportunities that are on offer. And I stress that there are always opportunities in a post-disaster environment. The purpose of releasing capital would be to generate funds to assist in solving the identified funding shortfall, to provide the level of confidence and certainty required to develop a credible long-term financial strategy and get on with the rebuild of our community facilities, infrastructure and the rest, to allow council to buffer Christchurch residents and businesses from the exponential rates increase we would otherwise have to impose, and to allow council to align our vision and strategic objectives for the rebuild of our asset portfolio with the asset portfolio that is what we own and operate. As a council, we'll be making it clear that if a decision is made to release the capital, council proposes to maintain our key infrastructure assets, which are the Christchurch International Airport, of which we own 75% with central government, owning the balance over which the council has the right of first refusal and followed by Ngāi Tahu. The Lyttelton Port Company, a publicly listed company in which we hold 79.6% of shares, and Orion, of which we own 89% alongside the Selwyn District Council. This is in keeping with the pre-election pledge to support keeping all significant public assets and services of the citizens of Christchurch in public ownership and control that was made by many current councillors and community board members. One of the options we will engage on as part of the mix, however, is to invite one or more strategic partners to take a stake in CCHL, Christchurch City Holdings Limited. We would protect the city's long-term interests by ring-fencing the quantum of any such proposal and ensuring that the shares return to the council through a right of first refusal so they're not available to the open market. From the financial reports we have received and subsequent analysis of those reports, we would be looking at releasing up to $400 million from CCHL. Measured against the $8.3 billion the Council has on its balance sheet, we believe this is a prudent proposal. The Council's new Chief Executive, Carleen Edwards, is also introducing a policy of quality continuous improvement. She has been asked to work with CFO Peter Dalziel to set a minimum target to reduce operating costs for the Council for each of the next 3 financial years on a cumulative basis. The Chief Executive and I will continue to work with the Crown to ensure we as a Council have the necessary flexibility to work through these issues. We'll be looking at how we manage the phasing, operating costs and ownership of those anchor projects that the Council has a major stake in. As outlined in the cost-sharing agreement, we'll be working together on a review aimed at resolving the outstanding issues about the timing of and relevant contributions to the repair of the horizontal infrastructure. And we'll be working together on the new priorities I mentioned before that have now come into sharp focus. We want to work alongside Sarah to scope the possibilities for a one-stop landing point for both local and foreign investors. This would help speed recovery by providing a long-term focal point for economic development and a clear and stable point of entry for private capital. It would also act as a focal point for joint venture, private and public investment, and could take a proactive approach to development projects that could drive economic, social or special interest outcomes. It will also mean a different and more joined-up approach to consenting both resource and building from within the Council. We are setting up an expert advisory group or think tank as part of this whole process so that they can help contribute to and work with the Council as we develop our long-term plan. That will enable us to tap into the wealth of knowledge that exists in networks within our city and beyond. Joining the 100 Resilient Cities network sponsored by the Rockefeller Foundation has helped us put Christchurch on the world map, but not as a place of disaster, but for our commitment to building resilience as we recover and rebuild. We will draw on local, national and international advice and expertise in areas like housing, business, the environment and the community, and the advisory group will work in a fully transparent way in the public arena. We intend to commence preliminary public engagement on our options on the 4th of September, the 4th anniversary of the beginning of the earthquake sequence that has changed our city forever. This will be a defining moment for our city, a turning point in our recovery. I want to conclude by answering a question we were all challenged to address from the outset. That question is, why Christchurch? We face the Canterbury Plains. We produce safe, quality food with sustainable farming practices and have access to the best untreated water of any city. Food and water security are enormous global issues. We face the coastline, another global issue with half the world's population in large coastal cities exposed to far more extreme weather events and sea level rise. We face natural hazards much closer to our city than we ever thought. We can contribute to the understanding of physical and social sciences as well as new building technologies. We are learning how to build resilience within our communities, our regional economy and our natural and built environments. We are now linked to the world of risk, the understanding and measurement of which are equally interesting to governments as they are to insurers and reinsurers. We are only one of 5 gateway cities to Antarctica in the world, a place where by international treaty we do not exploit for commercial gain and where nations search for knowledge and understanding about the future of our planet. The United States, Italy and Korea base their Antarctica program support here in Christchurch with their scientists and researchers visiting regularly. We are the gateway city to the Aoraki Mackenzie Dark Sky Reserve, a place where we also search for knowledge. We are the gateway city to the South Island where authentic visitor experiences abound. We are passionate about sport, which challenges us to think about the role of protein, diet and exercise. We could take on the global obesity challenge that affects so many cities. We love theatre, music, cultural events, art, and we produce some of New Zealand's best. Creativity has always had a home here in Christchurch. We have some of the world's leading expertise on all of these in our world-class universities, Institute of Technology, Crown Research Institutes, organisations and private companies. We are writing more software here than anywhere else in the country. Innovation is what we do. And we have an international airport and seaport to support all that we bring in and send to the world. When we look at why Christchurch, we see that by investing by the public and private sector in legacy projects like Sensing City which will measure our environment in real time so we know instantly cause and effect, nutrients in soil to congestion in our streets, and creating open source data with spin-off potential from apps through to life-saving technologies will mean a reason for our young people to stay, but more importantly, for our young people to come home. Investing by the public and private sector in centres of innovation like EPIC and developing opportunities for social entrepreneurship and co-working will make the city relevant to a generation who do not seek employment to have fulfilling careers. Investing in participatory democracy, including visualisation tools that enable people to participate in budgeting decisions, will help the council respond in a much more effective way to what people want for their communities. The Lonely Planet and the New York Times both highlighted the energy, innovation and creativity that are marking our transition from what we were to what we will become. We need to capture that energy and turn our attention to the global issues that we can help resolve here. We can be global leaders helping to solve global problems. We are small enough to test solutions and big enough to produce meaningful results. That does not make us a living laboratory, but a hothouse where ideas will be seeded and grown. As our Chief Executive said recently, we will know we have achieved success when people from all over the world are asking, what would Christchurch do? Such will be our reputation for providing solutions to complex problems. We are part of a stable democratic country that has regulatory frameworks seeking to balance consumer protection and individual freedom. It is a good place to do business. It isn't a cliche when we say Christchurch is a great place to raise children. We have a strong sense of community, reinforced by our shared experience of crisis, a park at the city's heart, and a universal commitment to a clean, green, safe, smart, and accessible city. We have a temperate climate, and we have beaches to our east and ski fields to our west. We can be the magnet that attracts the researchers and scientists, as well as the creators and innovators, the investors and the entrepreneurs, and brings our young people home once they've done their OE. Christchurch will be a place where everyone can live the life they want to lead, a safe haven, as well as a place of opportunity where anything is possible. We can't afford to stand on the sidelines any longer. We need to make it happen. And with the support of all of the communities that make up our city, and with central government standing alongside, we can and we will. Thank you.